Welcome everyone. My name is Anas, and today we will cover how to contribute to an open source project. This project was created as an experiment, really, for us to try and learn VS Code, which is Visual Studio Code, an IDE created by Microsoft, learning the terminal, the command line. Some people call it CMD, where we type commands, and learning a little bit about GitHub and GitHub Copilot, which is an AI tool used by developers. So it's a big project, really. So you have to allocate around not less than 1 hour for this, for sure. I'll go as slowly as possible through this tutorial, and I hope you can follow along. Of course, um, you need to have a laptop with you, and uh, for the simplicity sake, I've chosen to use Windows for this tutorial. I think most of you will be using Windows as well. If you would like to use MacBook or Mac OS, you might need to change some of the steps. I'll try to include notes about these changes in the contributing guide, which is basically this repo. This repo, of course, and the slides that I'll be using today are all on GitHub as well. And I might change some things later. So always refer to the GitHub as the main source for the updated version of these slides. Okay, so again, this tutorial assumes that you have no experience at all with any of the tools that we will talk about today. You will be using Windows, and the end goal, of course, to learn about cybersecurity a little bit, of course, through using this app, which I'll talk about, and learn about uh, open source programming, GitHub, using AI. So I think um, you can take at least one thing out of this tutorial. If it's not programming, maybe AI. If it's not AI, maybe GitHub. If it's neither of those, maybe learning in general about the wonderful world of open source and what you can find there. Okay, the repository is also available on uh, our organization, the organization account of Getik, which again we will see very soon. Okay, so we already talked about all of these things. GitHub, of course, there is a certain flow that we will learn today about, but it can get more complicated than that. For advanced use cases, you can refer to the last slide, which includes additional resources, learning resources, which you can use it to dive deep into other topics. So the app, the idea, I had it for a long time, really. Maybe around 1 year ago, but of course, because we get busy, and between teaching and between other projects, I didn't have time to work on it until recently. What changed recently? The past 3 months, 4 months, of course, has been an explosion of acceleration in AI progress. Of course, before AI used to be, let's say, it used to make a lot of mistakes when writing the code, but honestly, that is not the case anymore. Okay, now it can write code and do many tasks with minimal mistakes, which allowed me, of course, to push for many side projects that I had sitting on the shelf, as they say. And this idea was one of them. So Zen Koans is a mobile application written in Flutter, and it's available now in beta on the App Store and the Play Store. It displays a small message. Uh, it's a koan. A koan is a contradictory sentence uh, that push you to contemplate about something. Okay. Uh, and of course, we adapted that concept into cybersecurity. So you'll read a sentence about cybersecurity that might not make sense as you read it, but later, if you think about it, it will push your mind to understand the terms or the sentence more deeply. So I like the concept and I adapted it to cybersecurity. And of course, under the koan, you will find um, uh, a technical explanation that will help you, of course, use it in real life. Okay, so the uh, the the source of these koans is within the app itself. It's located in a file called koans.json. We will talk about what this means very soon. Okay, just know that. And actually, anybody can contribute. Okay, so it is open to the public. So what is open source? Open source is basically a movement that started, let's say, many projects that we use on our in our daily lives. Okay, so it is simply allowing your code or your work in general to be publicly available for everybody to see and examine. And depending on the license, you can allow others to sell your work or modify it or share it. Okay, we have multiple licenses. So this is the essence of open source. So uh, there is, of course, one owner of it usually, but that owner on purpose made that work available for everybody to modify and see. Many projects that we use daily actually are built on top of open source projects. For example, Linux, Android, Firefox, Visual Studio Code, Python, they are all open source, and they, of course, they shape the world. I won't say they helped in building the modern world. No, they actually shaped how the world functions. Okay. Um, so you should care about open source because it is how we learn really. It opened up many doors for many people to learn from a code that otherwise we would never dream to learn and adapt and understand. It helps us in building our careers, of course. And the underrated part, which I deeply care about, which is building a community, people who care about let's say, the greater good. Okay. So from your laptop, you can build solutions for others to use and join communities that otherwise maybe you would never interacted with. And of course, it is about freedom. When you give these tools for others, usually you give them without asking for money. You can ask for donations, you can ask for support, but usually when you open source something, you you forgo the monetary side of that project. And of course, once you have it open source, you open up the opportunity for others to improve the quality of your work. So everybody will be trying to uh, help in building this project. So the more people use it, actually, the better. Because people will be using it maybe for their businesses or as part of their daily lives. So they will care about it, they will relate to it, and they will, of course, try to make it more secure, more reliable. Okay. So, and of course, the internet that we use daily is actually built on top of open source. Linux, most of web servers use it. The web servers themselves that run on Linux are open source, most of them. Nginx and Apache, for example. Python, the programming language. JavaScript runs the web. PHP has been here for a long time. Go and Rust, they are all open source languages. Databases, for example, MySQL, Postgres, MongoDB, they are all open source. There are so many frameworks as well, frameworks used to develop or improve the development experience and get things done in a better and more consistent way. Infrastructure, version control, Git itself. So it is undeniable the effect of open source on the internet, of course, and the world we live in. So how AI is related to open source? As you all know, AI derives its power actually from the data itself that it's trained on. So guess what? The biggest source of data for AI is the internet and open source. Okay, because you made these projects available for free for everybody. AI got a chance to use these projects to learn from. Okay, so this is it's giving it let's say a training data set. So in addition, of course, there are frameworks that are AI frameworks that are open source, large language models that are open source. GitHub Copilot itself, the tool that we will use today, was trained again on open source projects. So it is helped AI, the open source and the internet helped shape AI, and now AI is helping in shaping back these tools. So we we came full circle, as they say. Okay, so everything is getting better. I'm talking about the usage of large language models in improving open source tools, of course, and I'm focused on that part of the internet. Generative AI is a bigger concept, but we don't have time to cover that now. Okay. So since we are, of course, teaching cybersecurity and interested in learning cybersecurity, we have also to talk about how all of that is connected to cybersecurity. So think of the tools that you use every day. Wireshark, Metasploit, Nmap, they are open source tools. Of course, when you reveal the code and make it open for everybody to see, you gain more trust, okay? Because this transparency says that you are not doing shady stuff with your code. Of course, that depends on what kind of business you're running, but mostly when you open source your projects, you give more credibility to them. Of course, that enables also more people to provide fixes for your projects. For example, Log4Shell, there was a vulnerability in it at some point, and that was before AI, where actually it took a lot of effort to fix issues and patch security. So because it was open source, the security vulnerability was fixed so quickly. Otherwise, it might have taken a long time. So AI and security, that's a big topic, of course, these days. There are AI tools that can, of course, allow anybody to basically write hacking scripts. Okay. At the same time, there are these AI tools help protect the projects themselves. So the bar has been raised for sure for both the defenders and the attackers. And today's app, the point of it is to help spread awareness, really. So it's a real use case, okay, of open source, and it's a real use case of cybersecurity. How to help everybody learn about cybersecurity in a very simple way. So let us actually start with setting our tools up. So the first thing we need to do is install Visual Studio Code. Now I have a virtual machine here running Windows 11. If you are running Windows 10, the same tools will apply. So starting from this point, please make sure to have your laptop with you and follow along with me. You can pause the video at any point or speed it up or slow it down, up to you. Okay, so let's start by searching for download Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code still remains my most preferred IDE until today. I'm a little bit old school. Now, of course, we have codecs and we have Cloud Code, superpowers really for developers. They will allow you to do white coding, which is a different kind of coding that we will not cover today. But I still like to see code from time to time. I enjoy reading code. Some people just focus on getting it done, you know, or vibing, as they say. But I'm still stuck in the era of reading and writing code. So, of course, it is very interesting to see how this will play out in the future. I still believe that building something without actually knowing what goes into it is a very bad idea, for sure. But we will we will see what will happen long term. Okay, so after you download Visual Studio Code, you need to, of course, install it. Just pay attention to the path step. You need to add it to path because this will help us later when we want to run other commands. So trusted installer, not meant. Okay, no problem, run it. I accept. Next. This is where you need to make sure just that add to path is checked. I'll create a desktop icon, sure. I don't need the rest. And install. What is an IDE? An IDE basically an integrated development environment where you write your code. Of course, even IDEs are about to go extinct because of AI, but still, we need them. Of course, there is a different version of Visual Studio Code, which is Visual Studio, a more complicated IDE with more tools included in it for debugging and maintaining larger projects. Visual Studio Code is still capable, for sure, to run large projects. Depends on what kind of project you're using, really. My PC might be a little bit slower than yours because I'm running using a virtual machine. Try to close as many programs as you can. Okay, now at this point, it would be really a good idea to continue with GitHub, but I want to go in a specific order. So just click on skip if this shows up. This is the IDE. This is where you will write your code, and you can see actually GitHub Copilot is already installed. Okay, I need to change my slides a little bit. Okay, so let's go back. We installed Visual Studio Code. Now we need to install Git for Windows. So let's go to this link, git-scm.com. And then click on Install for Windows. Git is, again, the tool that we will use to create versions of our work and maintain a different copy of the code for our usage. So we will talk about what is a version control and what does it do. I might need to change this part a little bit, but for now, just click on Git for Windows, not ARM. I think if you click on the first link, it will automatically download the correct version for you. Because there's ARM64, this is the CPU architecture, and there's x64. So you cancel this. Let's run this. If you try to run the executable and it doesn't work, that means you downloaded the wrong version. Okay, just I think all of it. Add git bash profile to Windows terminal. Just check that. Next. Use Vim, no problem. Next. No need to change anything. Credential managers, yes. Next. Install. After installing it, just make sure to check again git bash. Okay, launch git bash, finish. You should see you should see something similar to this, okay? Which is different than the normal terminal. If you've ever used CMD on Windows or PowerShell, this is something else, okay? This is a terminal that actually runs Linux commands, okay? So after you install it, I think you need to restart Visual Studio Code in order to make it identify the correct terminal version to use. So if you go to terminal, new terminal, by default it is using PowerShell, but you can switch to git bash. And this is the one we will be using throughout this tutorial. Okay, perfect. How did I open the terminal? Just click on these three dots, terminal, new terminal. And of course, pay attention that you will have multiple terminals open here. You can shut down the old ones if you want. Okay, and how to switch? Again, click on this arrow and click on git bash. You can leave the other one open or you can delete it if you want. Okay. Okay. So let us create a GitHub account. I'll use one of my emails here. So go to github.com/join. So github.com/join. And then fill in your details. Create a password. create a username. If the email is used, it will show an X icon here, and this box will be highlighted in red. Create this username, country, on it. After you sign up, you should receive an email with the login code. You can copy the login code, 2130. I think copying and pasting between terminal and UTM is possible. Yes. And that's it. Now you can log in. Now, one thing I will do differently for you is if you want, you can download GitHub Desktop also. It's not a bad idea. But we will do everything using Visual Studio Code just to simplify, because you already get links here, which is a source control. We'll talk about it later, okay? But after you you create an account, log in with it. Excellent. Now, the last step is to go to the GitHub page for Ktek. So how to do that? Just type github.com/kuwait-technical-college. Enter. The first thing, please follow the organization. We need more followers. And afterwards, you need to install GitHub Copilot, which is already installed for you. So if you go to extensions, extensions are, by the way, let's say tools that will help you do more with your IDE. This is the simplest way I can put it. So it's like apps for your IDE. Okay, it's like applications for your IDE. It will make your application, your IDE, which is Visual Studio Code, more powerful. So GitLens is, I think it's already installed, or I'll forget about these things. This just GitHub Copilot is already here, so I'm not sure. Let's double check. Yeah, it's already installed. GitHub Copilot chat. Okay. After we do that, just make sure that everything is done in this list. So VS Code install. Git install, just type git -- version here. Git -- version. Git -- again. And you will see that it is already installed. GitHub account created and extension installed. Perfect. Now we're done with the setup. Now let's actually learn a little bit about VS Code and the terminal. We already saw how to open the terminal. Okay, there is a command called clear that will clear the terminal. Of course, if you want to search, these are just shortcuts. You can refer to them at any time. You don't have to memorize them. With time, you will build a muscle memory on how to use these shortcuts. Until today, really, I just use the menus here. Okay, there's no shame about it. You can't memorize the commands. You are free to use the GUI. Okay. Other than that, of course, the terminal itself, again, it's a way to talk to the computer using commands. So there are commands such as pwd that will print the working directory. ls that will list what's inside the current folder. The working directory, by the way, is where you are currently in. You have to be somewhere within the system. So it is similar to File Explorer. When you open File Explorer, if you go to desktop, so you are now in desktop. You go to home, you are now, of course, the path here would be C users / Anas in this case. This is my home. Okay, so if when I type pwd, you can see C users Anas. It is exactly the same. If I type ls, I already did that. I can see all of these folders, which are identical to the folders you can see here, of course, with hidden files. So if I type cd, what is cd? cd is change directory. Change directory, that means take me to another place. I want to go to another place. If you type it alone, it will take you home always. If you type cd desktop, for example, and how did I do that? I just press tab desktop, then I'm inside desktop. If I go to desktop, it is exactly as if I clicked here. If I type ls, I should see, you can see a link, a shortcut basically to Visual Studio Code. So these are the basics, and you can learn more really about the command line. I would highly recommend, as a cybersecurity student, you have to learn. Actually, it's not even recommended. You have to learn how to write commands and how to read them and how to change them and what each command does. You don't have to memorize everything, but learn the basics. For sure, it will improve your understanding of how the terminal works. Okay, so let us actually create a new folder. Usually, if you are using File Explorer, you can just right-click, create a new, create folder, and call it project. I think it is project, right? Projects. So you can see this folder. Now I can see it here in the terminal. So they are the same thing, really, but different interfaces. Okay. So how can I do that in the terminal? I'll delete projects now. You can do it by typing make dir projects. So create a directory called projects. ls, you can see projects again, and it's in a different color and prepended with a forward slash. And again, even though I deleted projects folder, I can see it again here because I created it from the directory. So it is important to create this link, between these two. Perfect. Now, since we created the projects, we can open Visual Studio Code there. Okay. How can I do that? If we type cd projects, not sure if code command works. You can type code dot, and it will open Visual Studio Code within that folder, and you have to stay in that folder for the time being. Okay, it is better to stay in the projects folder to keep everything tidy and not to create files by mistake somewhere else. Okay, I'll trust the author. Yes, I trust authors. And this is where we should spend most of our time. Okay, perfect. Now let's talk about Git concepts. Again, if you open the projects, you need to open the terminal. So you can go to terminal, new terminal, and make sure to select Git bash. Perfect. Okay. And by default, by the way, it will open inside. You can see the current directory is desktop projects. Perfect. So we will explore these commands one by one, or these concepts. So Git itself, again, I'm not sure if I can't use my tablet now. But basically, Git is a way for us to track changes. So if you've ever used, for example, Google Drive, there, if you made any changes, so let me actually, let me go to Google, create a document, any document. Okay. So test 1, 2, 3. Okay. After I type this text inside my document, I can click on this icon, and this is version history. Version history will show me what my document looked like at 4:21 and what my document looks like now after I typed this 1, 2, 3. And this is very useful. Why? Because I can tell who changed what and at what time. Okay, and I can even revert back to this version if I want. If I click here, I can click on restore this version, and you can see that my document now is empty. So I know it's a weird way of explaining it, for sure. I'm not sure if anybody did it before, but this is the simplest way to explain it for you. And of course, other people can come and edit this document with you, of course, if you share it. So this is really the gist of it. Okay, it's Google Drive but for code, and you can track it, and it is distributed, which is amazing if you think about it. Distributed, that means not a single person controls the source code. It is shared among many people, and you can go and research about how does it work, the technical, the inner working of it. Is really fascinating. Okay. But what makes it powerful also is the ability to create a fork. So forking means that you create your own copy, and this concept you have to understand, because this is the first step actually that we will do, is forking the repository. So a fork, let's imagine that this is the main project. Someone created a fork of it, so it is still part of the main project. Okay, but a different version of it, and that fork can live as a separate entity of the main project. That means the main project can have many changes later. Version 1, version 2, version 3. Okay, while the fork can continue to have its own versions, and at some point you can merge this back into your project, adapt whatever you want from it, and continue working. So this is basically what we will be doing. We will, of course, not in this complicated flow. It will be, they call it the Git flow. We will create a fork of the main project. This is our fork. Okay. After we fork, we will clone it into our desktop. So this lives in GitHub server. Okay. We will clone it into our desktop. And after we clone it, we will make changes. And then we will push this back. Which color should I use? We will push this back into our fork. And afterwards, we will merge these changes into the main project. And after we merge it, this project, we will have our changes complete with all the history that we did here. Okay, and of course this step, the merging step, the merging step here will require what? Creating something called pull request. And the pull request is basically asking permission to please pull my changes back into this the main project. Okay, so I hope my explanation is simple enough, and it is actually, this flow is very simple, very straightforward, and I prefer to use it even in real projects. Can get more complicated than that, but for now this is more than enough. If you learn the basics of it, you can build on it whatever flow you want later. The complexity will not hinder you. You will build the understanding, the intuition for it, and then later you can do whatever you want. Okay, so again, this is the flow: fork, clone, edit, commit, push, pull request. Okay, so let us start by forking the repository. If you followed our the organization, you can go to repositories, and then you can click on Cybersecurity Zen Koans. This is our project. Now, what is the first step? Click on fork here. Okay, you can read about it, of course. You can explore it, even you can build the app. And I recommend later, even if you have a Windows, I will try to create another guide where you can actually run this app and build it yourself. It's not that hard. With AIs, it is easy. So click on fork. After click on fork, this is the step where we're creating a copy of the source code and every change that happened on it for us. It is our own version. Okay, so I'll call it in description my first fork, and you don't need to change anything really, just create a fork. Perfect. Congratulations, now you have a copy of the code with attribution. So you can see this is the other me. Okay, who created the original version. Perfect. Now what should we do? We have our copy. Let's clone it. Clone it, that means we bring it locally into our desktop for us to make changes to it, because as long as it lives in the cloud, this is on GitHub servers, right? I can't change it technically from here, but of course it would be better if I change it through my IDE. So after we created the fork, of course, notice that the project now lives under your username. Okay, but if I go back here, if I go back to the other project, it lives under Kuwait Technical College organization. Okay, see the distinction? So now it belongs to you. This copy belongs to you. Okay, interesting. Next, you have to clone it to your computer. So simply just copy this URL and make sure it is your GitHub, not the Kuwait Technical College. Copy it, go back to code and type git clone, and then paste it. If you right click, it should paste the URL by itself. Now if you clone it, it will create another folder within your folder, which is fine for now. Okay, just type enter, and this what should create. It's now downloading the source code, and now it is available here. Okay, now what you can do is through the command line type cd, and then just type sci app. This should take you into the folder itself, and you can see here I'm in the main branch. This will be useful later. And then you can type code dot. Again, this will open another Visual Studio Code inside that directory. So this is much better, of course, since you don't have to worry about other things. Now we are inside that project. Okay, I can go to terminal again, new terminal, keep it open, and you can close the other Visual Studio Code. We don't need it anymore. Perfect. And make sure you are again in Git bash. This is the annoying part. I think there's a way to set it as default, but I forgot how really. I don't use Windows that much. Okay, perfect. So now this is done. Let's configure our Get identity. So Get identity is your profile on your local PC. Now, if you downloaded GitHub Desktop, this will be done automatically for you. But for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to use GitHub Desktop. I will not push another software on you, but you're free to download it. Okay, just search for GitHub Desktop, download it. Still, I use it until today, even though I know how to use the commands, I know how to use git cleanse. It's my, I think, my preferred way of using GitHub. So just type git config-global. So git, I can copy this, /global profile. And then we need to set the username and the user email. So user.name, I believe it's without equal. And I will type this better to maintain the same username that you created here. If you don't want to make mistakes, just copy this and paste it here. Again, pasting just by right-clicking here. We'll paste it. Okay. Done. The next step, config-global user.email, and again, better to use the same email that you use for this. Perfect. Now this is done. You can type clear to reset the terminal. Okay. Now let us head to the directory or the file that we will work on. Of course, don't be shocked. You will find a lot of files here. And Flutter simply, there's no other way to say it, but it's not the simplest project to start with for sure. Okay. But this is what I had to choose in order to publish an app for iOS and Android. Flutter, again, it's a language created by Google. Again, another open source language, which is very similar. I can type, let's go to AI mode actually. Let what's called Gemini tell us what is Flutter. And let me change. How can I change the language here? Okay. Let's go back. So I'll ask it again. What is Flutter? It will tell us that it is an open source UI toolkit. Okay, it's a language that can help you create mobile applications for iOS and Android. So this project, if you build it correctly, it will allow you to create an application for these two platforms and more even. So this is Flutter. Okay. Now, what is the file that we will work on? If you go here, click on source, go to lib, go to assets, and then koans.json. This is simple JSON file. So what is JSON? JSON, JavaScript object notation. It's remains until today one of the simplest way to represent data in a human readable way. Before it, we had XML and SOAP, and these were too cluttered. And then they evolved into JSON, which is, again, a simple way to represent data. So this is Koan text. This is, we call it, this we call an object. And this is a key, and this is a value. And the type of this key and value are string. The type of the value is a string. Again, these concepts, it's better to have a different session for that, a different tutorial for sure. But for now, just know that this is the file that you have to worry about. Okay. So if you go, you are free to read them. Of course, these are all the koans. You don't need the app. You can just read them from. Okay, but the app, of course, it's the app itself is a delivery mechanism for this lesson. Think of it this way. It's not the object of concern. Okay, it's just a way for us to understand coding and to build something. So after we scrolled until the end, we will see this Zen Koan. It might be different for you by the time you try to clone the project. Again, it is composed of 3 keys. The object is composed of 3 keys: Koan text, technical explanation, and Unicode. Perfect. Now, what should I do now? Next, we will learn how to use Copilot to create a new Koan. Copilot is an AI agent, and there are so many these days, okay? But Copilot, you can see this icon. This is the AI agent provided for free for you to use. And you can talk to it like you talk to ChatGPT or Gemini or any AI agent, okay? Using this chat interface. This chat interface, if you can't see it, it's collapsed like this. You can click on this icon, toggle chat, and it will open here. Perfect. So we can ask it, we can prompt it, basically. Prompting is a way of us asking for stuff. This is prompting. So if you type here PWD, this is a prompt to the terminal, okay? But if I type here, I'm prompting whom? In this case, I'm prompting Copilot. Now, I'm not sure which language model it's using. Set to auto because I think I'm in the free version. But all you need to do is click on plus to attach this file, which is koans.json. Now it is, we can say we're telling Copilot, the AI, please, when I talk to you, focus on this file. Give this file a priority. And then you can copy paste this prompt, and you can, now the word is your oyster. Come up with whatever koan you want, okay? When you prompt Copilot, it might give you something different than mine. And keep prompting it until you find something that you like, okay? Again, prompting the AI does not mean that you stick to this koan, okay? Just ignore this part because I need to copy paste. Just okay. I can't copy paste the code. Okay. So you can copy paste this prompt from the slides, and that's it really. Just press enter. Now I think we need to set up actually Copilot. Okay, again, I'll prompt it. I'll press on continue with GitHub, which should take us back. Yes, continue. Authorize. And then open Visual Studio Code. I'm not sure what is the limit for the free tier, but it should be more than enough for our lesson. This prompt again, it's telling Copilot, please look at this file and come up with a different Zen Koan and add it to this file, okay? So let it work on that while we go to, there are so many topics related to cybersecurity. Pick whatever topic you want. This is where you come in, okay? Be creative. And of course, if you have your own Koan, why not add it yourself? Better to stick to English for now, okay? Better to stick to English. And you can see it added this part. The added part, if I go next, okay, you need to, again, see the note here. AI is a tool, not a replacement for your brain. You have to review and understand what it generated before you click on the keep button, before you accept whatever it created, okay? So ask yourself, is this context wise enough? Does it actually provoke thinking? Or is it just something silly, okay? Is the technical explanation accurate? Does the style match what we are doing? Okay. You can, again, you can spice up your prompt. Spice up يعني تحط بهارات, okay, on your prompt. Come up with whatever you want. Trust me, the AI have read a lot of books about cybersecurity. It can be creative, okay? But you still have to monitor and guide its thinking, okay? And you can try multiple times. So let's read this koan. The phishing lure appears as a trusted message, but hides a hook of deception. Okay, sounds nice. Phishing attacks exploit human psychology by crafting messages that appear legitimate, often using social engineering techniques to create agency, urgency, or fear. Correct. This is actually, we teach this concept in Introduction to Cybersecurity. Perfect. I like it. Now, something you have to keep in mind. It will create a unique code based on the same format, but that does not guarantee the uniqueness of this code. This is where we would use one of the commands. Okay, you can see it already created the koan. Actually, we didn't actually need to copy paste anything because we attached the file to our prompt. Okay, so make sure, of course, for example, see what will happen if I click backspace. If I delete this part, the file now is in red and it is showing a red dot. That means there's a problem with it. It's like screaming, come and fix this problem before you do anything else. Okay, just make sure that the file is in orange. The text is in orange and it's not showing any errors. Okay, you have to maintain this format again. This is how JSON works. Okay, it needs this formatting. Okay, now you can use the grep command to make sure that this text is actually unique because we don't want the same code to repeat. Okay, this is an identifier, they call it. Okay, an ID. That means it should not repeat within this file. So how can I do that? Just cd into, again, assets. We are inside actually source assets. After you cd there, type ls. You will see these two files, the SVG files, the logos, and the JSON file. Now within the JSON file, what you can do is just type grep, look for this text, which is ph1shg, which I've just noticed. AI is crazy, really. It is phishing, but in hacker speak. It is close to phishing, but in hacker speak. So the one is I. Okay, fish and ph. I like it. Okay. It's a good play on words for sure. Okay, so grep this text from where? Grep it from this file, which is koans.json. And I only got one line back, so I'm good to go. So you can press on keep. Now, what else might you see? I'll copy this and paste it here on purpose. Okay, I will save the file. Now, if I type the same command, but I look for Q1 PFVW, I should find two lines, and this is your red flag. In this case, no. You have to repeat it. You have to come up with another another code. Okay. So I'll revert back the old code and then save. You have to save, by the way. So if you made any change, let me make this change again. You will see this dot here. That means this file has been touched and needs saving. How to save? Control S in the keyboard. Perfect. Okay. Now we've done all of that. We have to make it stick. Why? Because now this change lives on our computer, our local computer. It does not. If you go back to your repository online, you will see that there are no changes here. The last change was 5 hours ago, 3 days ago, 6 hours ago. And again, this is your copy. Okay. This is your copy of the code. And there are no changes on it other than these changes. So how can I push my changes back to my source code? And this is where the get command push comes into play. Okay. So what we can do is check what changed. Of course, make sure to go back to the root folder. So type cd dot dot. Now you are back one step, and again cd dot dot. You can clear, type pwd, and now you are back in projects Cybersecurity Zen Koans app. Perfect. Now you can type here get status. This will tell you if something changed. And of course, if we go again, type get status, I can see that there is a file that has been updated but not committed, modified. Okay. And again, visually, you can click on this icon and you can see all the changes that have been made so far. Okay. Until today, including your change. Perfect. So again, the green, that means something added. The negative, the minus, that means something got deleted. And this is in git diff command. So if I type git diff, the file, again git, these commands, they are nice to know, but of course nothing beats visual. I will tell you why. So if you type git diff, again, source, assets, Koans, it will tell you that all of these files, see, got added. This got added. See, the plus in green, that means all these lines got added. And then you can type Q to quit. Okay. Otherwise, you can click on this, double click on it. It will open koans.json, the same file, but in a different view. So in this view, you are comparing how the file was and how it became. Okay, and you can see all these lines got added. But if you go here, you'll see it as a normal file. So again, how did I reach this view? Usually you'll be living in Explorer most of your time when you are writing code, when you are developing anything. But later, if you want to see how the source code got changed, you can go back to this source control view, double click on any file, and you will view what got changed. And this is very useful later. If you want to debug what went wrong, you change what, and you can revert back the change if you want even. Okay, perfect. Now let us add this file to staging. Staging, again, it is like putting everything in a temporary box before you actually wrap it in, okay, and ship it. So how can you stage? You can use the command, or you can just simply click on this plus button. And now you can see this file is staged. You want it unstaged, you can click on minus. Very simple, okay? Here you can use the command if you want, and then you can commit. Committing is like saying, okay, save my progress locally. Again, nothing got pushed yet. Just save it. I made a change to this branch, the main branch, and I want to commit it. Before, maybe I switch to another branch or I go somewhere else. But for now, of course, these concepts will not cover them, but it should be enough that you just go here to this box. I'll move this a little bit. Added a new one. So this message is for whom? It's for everybody that is going to maintain this project or work on this project with you. You are talking to them. You are telling them, by the way, this change, see what I did here? This is the message that I want you to see. I added a new koan. Later, of course, in a bigger projects, maybe it might be a different message. Maybe I deleted something. I fixed a bug. I added a feature. I improved something. I added new docs to my project, so on and so forth. Okay? And then you can click on this button, commit. Or again, you can use the command if you want. So I'll press on commit. Now my change is committed. Perfect. Okay. So does that mean it's now online? No. It still lives on my PC. If I go back here, nothing has changed. Still, everything is the same. Okay. Okay, how can I push my changes? If you push your changes, again, you guarantee that you have another copy of your changes on the server. So if something goes wrong to your PC, now everything is backed up. Again, let's go back to Google Drive analogy. If I type anything here, I can go to another computer and log into my Google account, and I will find the same document, right, in that other computer, and everything will be saved. So I'm saving everything to the, I hate to use that word, the cloud. I'm saving it to the cloud. Okay. It is the same thing. When you push now, when I press this button, it will be pushed there now. Okay. So I'll click on push. This action will pull and push. Okay, no problem. And congratulations, you made your first change to an online repository, which is yours in this case. Just give it a while. It might ask you, by the way, to sign in. Sign in with your browser. Again, authorize. Go back, and you can see that it is now committed. You can press yes to this message if you see it, no problem. Perfect. Now, if I go back to my repository, here, to my source code, if I refresh, you will see 2 minutes ago, added a new koan. By whom? By this account. Amazing. Okay. Now what is next? Let's go back to our slides. We're almost done. Now, we already verified. We can go back again to our repository. Go to source. Click on assets. Click on koans.json. Scroll down, or you can, again, just type Control F. Look for phishing. Okay. For you, it will be different. Just search for the code, and you will find that my koan is now published here. Amazing. But even though it is saved to my project, it is not saved to the other project. So if I go to github.com/Kuwait Technical College/Cybersecurity Zen Koans app, I go back here. This copy, if I see, changed 5 hours ago. If I go to source and then open assets, Koans, I'll search for the same code. It's not here. Why? Because now here where someone need to verify what you made. Now imagine if anybody changes anything and they push their changes to any project that is open source, and that whatever they pushed, it got accepted. That means it got integrated into the main code. It will be chaos. Anybody can change anything without responsibility. Open source, that does not mean it is open for everybody to do anything they want on the main project. They are free to do whatever they want on their fork, and that's why you created your fork. But if you think that your change deserves to be merged into the main branch, that means the main project, then you can submit a pull request. And someone, usually the owner of that project, will review it. And if they like your change, they will discuss it with you. Maybe you will have back and forth. They will tell you, no, this is maybe this koan is not good enough. Or maybe you made a change that might break the project, the original project. Or maybe you didn't stick to the contributing guidelines. And if you go to, if I close, if you see here in the source code of Cybersecurity Zen Koans, there is a file called Contributing. And the same applies to any open source project. You have to stick to the guidelines. Open source does not mean being chaotic. Actually, it means being more systematic than ever and being more careful of what you do. Because again, the maintainer of that project, they are still responsible. If it breaks, people will not blame me for the breaking change. They will blame the owner of that project. Why did he approve that change? Okay, so the main responsibility still lies on top of the shoulders of the owner. Okay, which is again a very important concept for us to grasp. So after we're done, let us create a pull request. This pull request, that means what? We are convinced that what we made here actually is worthy of being merged into the main branch. So I'll create open pull request, added a new koan. You can add a description if you want, and then you can create pull request. And you can see if you scroll down, your change. Very simple, very straightforward, what you changed. And of course, this is again something to pay attention to. Whenever you're contributing to any open source project, make your changes as concise as possible. Don't touch 2000 files. Just touch a specific feature. Make a specific change. The thing that you want the contributor to focus on. And make incremental changes as you go, instead of pushing something big. The bigger the change, the more work for the contributor to do, and the more chances your contribution will be rejected. Okay? Make your changes concise, specific to a certain feature. In this case, you can see I only added a koan. So when the maintainer reviews your change, it's easy for them to just read it and accept it, merge it. Okay? So after you've reviewed everything, just press on create pull request. And this is it, really. You can, of course, there is a bot that will check if this change can be merged or not. Of course, you cannot do anything at this part. At this part, someone needs to review your change. Usually, again, the owner or someone else. And you can add comments, you can do whatever. Usually, if the owner has any feedback, they will reply to you here. And you will receive a notification. You have to pay attention to your profile. Okay? And this is it, really. Congratulations. This is the end of our tutorial. I think I finished the tutorial in a shorter time. I hope you've learned a lot. And I really wish to see at least I'm very ambitious with this number. At least 500 students contribute to this project somehow. Okay, this is my target. Okay, I'm not sure if we will ever reach this target, but it's not a bad thing to be ambitious. Share this video with your friends. Uh, Encourage them. Of course, again, our target now are KTech students. Okay, share with your friends in KTech this tutorial and uh, encourage them to contribute. So again, to recap what we learned how to use Visual Studio Code, a very important IDE to know and to learn these days. We used the terminal to write commands like a developer. And again, we don't use the word programmer or coder anymore. We are developers. We are builders. Okay. Now with AI, we get to focus on bigger ideas. Okay. That doesn't mean we don't learn the basics. I will have more tutorials to learn, to teach you the basics of programming and the basics of web development, which is my main area of expertise. Okay, we use AI with GitHub Copilot to create something, and of course, again, be ambitious with AI. That means I'll show you something more. Okay, to just give you a hint of what the AI can do. I can just go here. I'll ask it, create another one. So I didn't give it the full prompt. Okay, I just gave it. I'm now speaking to it as if it's a person. But please remember, it's not a real person. Okay, no, it's not a real person. Okay, still, it's a large language model. Just it happens to be really convincing at, because again, it is expert at language. Okay, which happens to be the main way we communicate. So it's telling you I've added this thing, but it's not. It didn't actually, think about anything. But it will give you the impression that it thought and came up with this. Again, you have to learn how these large language models work, because otherwise you will fall into that trap. Okay, so it gave us another koan. Encryption is the silent guardian that turns secrets into puzzles for the unworthy. Okay, maybe I didn't like this koan. You can just tell it recreate, or create another one, please. Create another one instead of this one. So because I typed it this way, it should delete the old one and create another one, not simply add. Okay, and you can keep doing that. Okay, you can tell it create another one about actually it's talking about zero trust here, about let's say Wi-Fi hacking. And again, the main selling point is that it should sound like a koan. Because I was not careful with my wording, it added something new. Okay, so again, you have to pay attention to these things. So what do I mean by being ambitious? I can just tell it, because now I've learned what git add, git commit, git push means. I can just tell it push it to GitHub with a proper commit message. Now, if I type this to you at the beginning of the tutorial, you'd say, what are you talking about? What is GitHub? What is push? What does push mean? What is a commit message? And this is what I'm trying to tell you. Developing these muscle memories and developing intuition and understanding of how these tools work can make a day and night difference on how you talk to these AIs. They are very powerful, but with their power depends on what you know and what you think and what you think is possible with them, the AI models. Okay, so if I ask it this way, now it will actually craft, it will run commands in the terminal for us, and I can allow these commands. So it's typing get status, exactly what we did. It's checking what changed, and it's reading the output of that command. And based on that, it's running another command, get add, which is basically what we did. And again, get commit, added a new command. Now I will not commit it actually, I will skip. And of course, this command will fail because I don't want to push another command. So yeah, experiment with these AI tools, but be careful. They can change any file in your computer if you give them the permission, of course, if you click on allow. So understand what these commands do. Okay, so we use Git, of course, and we contribute to a real project. So your pull request should be available on the PR page. If I go to the main project, Kuwait Technical College, Cybersecurity Zen Koans, I should see what? And a pull request here, and this is actually my pull request. Okay, and someone should review it and approve it. Okay, very soon. I hope this tutorial was useful for you. I will set up a pipeline so these changes can be pushed later periodically to the App Store and Play Store, and you will see it later in the app, in the contributors. Okay. This is what we've learned. You can keep learning, and I encourage you to keep learning about GitHub, Visual Studio Code, how to use Copilot to learn and to write code. Okay. You can add, if you want to add more commands, you are free to do so. So this is it for me. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and hope to see you in other tutorials.